Welcome back to this part of the lesson in which we will be practicing recognizing and reading a form of a Latin verb in the perfect, pluperfect, or future perfect tense. So when you see the verb, you have to be able to recognize that it comes from the base of the third principal part. Do you see the R-E-L-I-Q-U-I? So we see R-E-L-I-Q-U, the I is deleted, and then you have this erot added to it. The erot tells us that we are working with the pluperfect tense. What is the correct translation of this verb? If you believe that the correct translation is he had left behind, or he had abandoned, you are correct. Let's see if you can come up with a different translation. Kurawerant. Do you recognize the tense of this verb? In order to do so, you should be looking at the ending, which is erant. This makes it pluperfect. How will you translate this verb in the pluperfect tense? Remember that the NT is going to tell us the subject. Did you say they had cared for or they had taken care of? If so, very good, you are correct. Amavimus is our verb to love. Do you see how the verb form amavimus has the V in it? This is very characteristic of third principal parts. The last three letters of the verb, mus, are the ending that we've learned to recognize as representing the subject we. So we know that we is the subject and the verb means love. But what's the most correct translation for the specific ending that we see here? Imus. There are three possible ways that you can translate this verb. One is we loved, another is we have loved, and a third way that this could be translated is we did love. Let's try one more. Duxistis. Duxistis. That's hard to say sometimes. You should notice that we have an X in this word. X is also another letter that is very indicative of a third principal part. Just some little tricks for you while you're reading. So, duxistis has the ending istis added onto it. We see from the TIS that my subject is you plural, but what tense am I dealing with? If you identified this as the perfect tense, you are correct. What will the translation sound like? Remember that for the perfect tense, there are three ways that you can translate this verb. You led and you did lead are for those times when the action is taking place at a specific point in time. And you have led is for those times when the action is not taking place at a specific point in time and may even be continuing into the future. This is our final example to look at, cognoverit, from the verb cognosco, cognoscere, cognovi, cognotum. Notice again the letter V, a letter that's very, very indicative of a third principal part. If you look at the third principal part, cognovi, and compare it to the first principal part and second one, cognoscere, this really is a different looking verb. The verb means to recognize or to become acquainted with. We see the T on the end, which tells us that our subject is he, she, or it. What does the other part of the ending tell us? It's tense, of course. So what tense are we looking at when we see erit? Have you come up with a correct translation? This is a future perfect tense verb, so you should be saying something like he will have learned, or he will have recognized, or he will have become acquainted with. Your translation is not correct if you don't see both the will and the have. You must use both. Let's see if you can pick out the correct translation for some verbs in the questions that follow. Remember, you want to look at the entire ending of the verb so you know what tense to translate, but you need to look at the specific 1, 2, or 3 letters at the very end to determine the subject.